I'll stick to the 5 strong pillars of consumption, healthcare, infrastructure, banking and financial, and of course manufacturing. It is very early days of manufacturing in India, so if one wants to catch a theme early, I would say it would be manufacturing. Hello everyone, my name is Swaroop Mohanty. I represent Mi래에셋 Global Investments in India. I've spent around almost 13 years with the group now, and I come to Seoul quite often. It's been fascinating for me to learn things from people here, from my colleagues, and have tried to implement that in building a sustainable business in India.
인도시장의 특징과 장단점에 대해서 좀 얘기해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
So I think when you look at global investor portfolios, they're spread between US, Europe, China and emerging markets. And yes, we agree that within emerging markets, India now stands out as a possible long-term, at least a decade growth story. I mean, that's due to various reasons. I think first, you have to understand that India is a very different country. There are different languages, food habits, and it's extremely diverse. And hence the investment patterns are changing in every 100 mile, within my office in Mumbai, there will be 20, 30 languages spoken. So that's how diverse India is. And hence, when you look at that country, you have to look at it from a different perspective. I think 3 important conditions we think stand out from a global investor point of view. One is the political stability stands out. And the second, I think, there has been continuous reform process for the last 20, 30 years in India, and especially in the last 15 years, this has become very, very structural to the growth of the country. I think the third one has to reflect upon is a very strong central bank, our Reserve Bank of India. I would rate as one of the best central banks in the world. So when you put these 3 together, it forms a very interesting framework for growth of the country. So when you look at India, I think we feel it is the awakening of this potential. It's when India can be viewed very differently from the past, from here. Clearly, one, I think we look at it from what we call, it provides a very interesting 5D advantage. I think the first one is the debt situation of India. The government debt to GDP stands at around 82%, which, stands at over 100% for other countries. So our debt to GDP is very much under control. The deglobalization, that is the China Plus that you're talking about, we hope we get some share of that, and we are beginning to see that. And that's why, from an infrastructure perspective, I think the third D would be the digitization. You'll be amazed as to how much digitization has happened during that COVID phase, and how much it is now impacting the average Indian on the street. There is, paper currency is practically zero now. That's something which is unheard of just 4 years back. The other one is, I think the real deregulation continues in the form of lower subsidies. India used to be a very high subsidy country, so the bearing of that on the balance sheet of India was large, but that is now kind of changing, and that has helped India in the last 5-10 years. And the last one, please understand the demography of India is completely different from the world. It might surprise you that 60% of world population under 30 is in India. And that differentiates India from everywhere because it's a very young country. So when you combine these 5, yes, the prospect is large. And the country is, I think, building for that prospect, and hence we all feel it's the golden decade for India as we speak.
최근 인도 ETF를 국내에서도 되게 많이 투자를 하고 있는데, 인도 현지 시장 투자에 대한 조언을 좀 해주신다면 어떤 부분이 있을까요?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Because in 2023, we saw broad-based performance in the small and mid-cap space, which we call the SMID, and that has rewarded India with some 7 billion inflow in that space. And the significance of, the small and mid-cap has drastically increased over the years. India is a country of small and medium enterprises, so this excitement about small companies become big is always there. But as we speak, the upper threshold of the market cap in India is now approaching an all-time high. We are almost at around 3 billion there. We take into consideration the global size considered for small caps is between 300 million to 2 billion. Now, going forward, we feel that may not be the case. And the second half, we definitely feel that the valuation of the small and mid-cap space is stretched, and one needs to keep that in mind. Probably it is a good time to now avoid this froth and look for quality. Large companies in this entire period have not got much of flows, and hence when you approach investing in India going forward, we would definitely recommend looking at quality investments, preferably the larger companies than the smaller companies in the next year or so. And that's not saying that the mid and small companies will not grow, but with valuations like this, it is better to be a little on the right side of risk reward and look at quality companies over mid and small is our house view.
향후 내년 시장도 그렇고 해서 인도 시장에서 좀 주목할 만한 섹터도 좀 추천해 주시면 좋을 것 같습니다.
See, I think India in a structural growth path, the core, what can I say, not sectors, but the themes which form the backbone to the Indian economics is very important. We have the basic themes of healthcare, infrastructure, banking and financial is a big theme in India. And we also see the growth of manufacturing in India. So when you look at the broad consumption, healthcare, financial services, manufacturing and infrastructure, these are the 4 pillars or 5 pillars on which India's growth will be based in the future. We are seeing some emergence of in smaller pockets EV as such, but still a long way to go. But I'll stick to the 5 strong pillars of consumption, healthcare, infrastructure, banking and financial, and of course manufacturing. It is very early days of manufacturing in India, so if one wants to catch a theme early, I would say it would be manufacturing.